Well, hello there, YouTube. It's Ro here. Thank you for visiting You Grow Ro. If this is your first time here, I hope you'll consider subscribing at the end of this video. If you've been here before, thank you so much for coming back. I appreciate you. Today, we're looking at some house plants that are either new to me or are surprising the heck out of me these days. I'll show you what I have in just a moment. Okay, before I begin, I should say that all of my houseplants get some fertilizer every time I water them. It will either be Aerial Garden nutrients or this water soluble granular feed that I bought. I got like 40 pounds of it for $14 or something. I'm not going to need plant food forever. Either way, I make a very weak fertilizer and don't fuss over the fertilization too much. Excuse me. All right, let's get started. Have a look at my Solanum uleanum. It's a striking purple plant native to South America that's well suited for terrariums. It requires high humidity, bright and direct light, and warm temperatures between like 60 and 80 degrees Fahrenheit or 15 to 28 degrees Celsius. And the proper care means that you're allowing the soil to dry out between waterings and fertilizing. They say recommend every 1 to 2 months, but again, I do it whenever I water it. But how I ended up finding it is related to other nightshades like tomatoes and eggplants, believe it or not. The young leaves emerge a bright purple and are covered in fine purple trichomes. So, in other words, the plant is pubescent, and the hairs serve various protective functions, such as deterring insects, reducing water loss, insulating against cold or heat, and protecting against sun damage, sort of the way hair on the human body functions. So as the pubescent leaves mature, they turn like a deep green, though the underside may remain purple. It is a vining plant that can either climb or trail. But what's really interesting is that it attaches firmly to surfaces, including glass, and it can grow really dense over time. So you'll have yourself a nice full plant. Now, the Solanum uleanum can be propagated by stem cuttings. So these adventitious roots are the roots that grow from non-root plant tissues, such as the stems or the branches or the leaves, instead of the primary root systems. Now, I'd never heard of this plant before, like I said, but I was watching some contents on tomato plants, and this somehow came up in the middle of all that video watching. As soon as I saw it, I was like, must have. I found it, got it off of Etsy, showed up, perfect condition. Look at this gorgeous thing. I'm so excited for this. I can't wait to watch it grow. Next up are my two snake plants, which are producing pups on both plants, not just one, which was very surprising to me because the snake plant that I have in the terrarium, I thought that thing was dead. I left it there just because, it takes a long time to unalive a snake plant to the point where it's ugly. And then there's the one that I thought was dormant because it hadn't done a darn thing all summer. No noticeable growth whatsoever, but it wasn't declining, which is what led me to believe that the plant was dormant. So wrong was I. Both of these plants have pups now. The more healthier one here, this one has two pups. But the one that I thought was dead, look at this little pup it's putting out. That is healthy and beautiful. I'm so excited for that. What a wonderful surprise. You guys remember those three Alocasia Regal Shield corms I showed you? They looked like little chickpeas, and one of them had a little sprout coming out of it. Well, I was absolutely frightened to attempt this plant because it's so stunning in its mature form, but I also don't have much experience with alocasias, given that I am in my alocasia era. But I hear all the time about how these plants can be really finicky and so on. So I thought for sure I would give the corms root rot or something, but no. These plants are thriving, you guys. I received three corms for $5 from this lady. I got them off of the marketplace. I think she was like 15 minutes away. And now I have three healthy, beautiful plants that are giving me leaves. I've only had these corms for about 1.5 months, so the environment I'm providing them currently must be top notch. much, and I'm just thrilled about it. It seems like terrarium like environments work really well for this specific alocasia. Next up is my Scindapsus, also known as Satin Pothos, even though it's not actually a pothos. So looking at it, I know. This is one of those very common house plants that you often see at your big box stores or at the grocery stores, and certainly at any plant shops or nurseries. But I still like them. I think they're beautiful. So what's surprising to me is that the leaves on my one plant are substantially larger than the other. I hadn't noticed it until recently. When you compare the two plants and the lighting conditions, it's clear that even though everyone you ever ask would tell you that Scindapsus, aka Satin Pothos, will tolerate low light very well, and they do, they just grow really slow, and the internodal spacing is larger. However, I have one plant receiving something on the cusp of what would be like natural medium light, and the leaves on that plant are practically as big as my hand. I couldn't believe it when I saw it. It's the much smaller plant, but the bigger leaves. I'm considering though I'm considering getting a bigger pot and combining the two plants, but that decision is for another day. For today, though, the surprising thing that made me so happy was how big my leaves were on that plant. Didn't expect that. Raise your hands out there if you're a Hoya fan. I have this Hoya. The ID is unknown. I don't know what variety it is. But when I first put this Hoya in the terrarium, it was on the struggle bus. It was not growing. The leaves were dull, and I even had some leaf drop. Fast forward 3 or so months, and I have what looks like a plant straight from the nursery. Tell me this Hoya isn't giving I love my life, right? Hoya leaf and internodal spacing are key indicators of the plant's health, particularly its light levels. So long, stretched out internodes, which is the space between the leaves, and small, sparse leaves are signs of low light, while short, dense spacing and healthy, plump leaves indicate sufficient light. And now that I'm going through these plants, I'm noticing a trend here. Loads of my house plants really enjoy a high humidity, grow light environment. That's not to say that they won't be healthy outside of a terrarium in an average home's humidity, etc. But it does beg the question: should I should I invest in or create another terrarium? What do you guys think? I think I would prefer to try out a cabinet situation so that I can, number one, maximize my space with multiple shelves, and then number two, still provide that high humidity environment that these tropical house plants love. Hmm. Let me know down in the comments what you think. New terrarium or a new plant cabinet? Here we have the high voltage pothos. I've also heard it called the Neon Queen. Not sure about that. But, anyways, there I was minding my business, purchasing plants that I didn't need from people in my area. Y'all know I be on Marketplace just looking for stuff. Anyways, I stumbled upon a young lady who had a Stelliana for sale that I thought looked interesting. So I figured check out her wholesale profile, because something I tend to do when purchasing plants on Marketplace is that I will counter offer a seller if I purchase more than one plant from them. So instead of paying like $10 for this one plant and $15 for this other plant, I'll message the seller and be like, hey, if I buy these two plants, can I only pay you $20 instead of $25? I'll pay you cash and I'll pick it up today. Generally, it is always a yes, exclamation marks within the next 5 minutes. People love that. Anywho, I checked out this lady's seller profile, and that's where I saw it. A pothos that I'd never heard of, which is saying a lot because I am a bona fide, self proclaimed pothos lover. She had the high voltage. I'd never even heard of it, never seen it, although it does look a little like other pothos. Anyways, so come to find out, the high voltage pothos is directly related to the neon pothos. I didn't know. It's a new cultivar that originated as a sport from variegated neon pothos. And the sport is distinguished by its more intense and striated, yellow and green variation, which is what gives it that high voltage or lightning bolt appearance. It was isolated by a company named Gabriella Plants back in 2023. So when they talk about a plant being sport, it's referring to like a genetic mutation in a single part of the plant, such as a leaf or a bud or a branch or a shoot or a stem. And the sport can result in like a sudden color change, a new leaf shape, altered flower form, or like a unique variation pattern, which is the case with this high voltage pothos. So if the mutation is stable and they really like it, gardeners and growers can then propagate the sport to create a brand new cultivar, as many of the plants you see in the nurseries today began this way. Yeah. So now I know this plant is itty bitty, but I did a price comparison on Etsy, and a plant this size is truly going for $17 at the time of the filming of this video. I got mine for $5, and the lady only lived like 10 minutes away. I was hoping that it would have the same growth habit of many other pothos, to where it's a fast grower, easy to propagate, and adaptable to numerous lighting conditions. But to date, I can't say that it does. I've had this plant in my care now for almost a month, and this plant hasn't changed one iota. That could be a period of adjustment, but usually I don't find that pothos need long adjustment periods. As I said before, they're highly adaptable plants. So, I'm hopeful because the plant doesn't appear to be declining, and that's good news. Thank you for making it to this final plant. If you're still here watching, don't forget to hit the like button real quick. Okay, thanks. So, oh my gosh, when I first mentioned that I was going to grow these in soil indoors over the winter, why did none of y'all stop me? This plant is out of control. Oh, sorry. Let me back up. I had gotten a little ahead of myself there. So, the plant I'm referring to is the evening primrose, which I have growing in my AeroGarden farm indoors, and I was planning on doing it over the summer. Well, I had three struggling ass plants that have been, what do you call it, stunted for being outside for months because I never took them out of the seed starting tray. Don't judge. Y'all know y'all been there too. And they stayed like that from April to September. Then I brought them in, not even expecting them to live. And what do you know? These plants are outrageous. I don't even know if I can keep this up over the winter, right? I mean, look at this. First of all, at this rate, these plants will outgrow this farm unit before February or even March of next year. I had no idea they would get this big. Before you even say it, yes, yes, I know. I should have done my homework, but I didn't. Okay, so there. Second, these plants are already super, 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 super thirsty. I drown these plants literally every other day, it seems like, which tells me that the plants are probably already root bound in that reservoir. And God forbid I let these plants go even a little bit thirsty, because they will shed their leaves in a heartbeat. Now, don't get me wrong, the flowers are beautiful and they're blooming like crazy. I got the seeds from Baker Creek. They're blooming like crazy. 2 weeks ago, I had probably 10 blooms on this plant, and it's constantly producing more flowers. But who knew this would be so labor intensive and needy? All I'm saying is, while I do enjoy the beautiful flowers, don't be surprised if by early next year you don't hear me talking about this plant, because I done threw it away. Okay, friends, that's it for my house plants that defied my expectations. If you have any questions, do leave them down below. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, share with your family and friends, and I will see you all on another day in another video. Until then, happy growing, my friends.